Welcome, I'm Dr. Melina Roberts, and I want to talk about the 6 ways that we may be contaminated with cadmium. So I run heavy metal tests on patients, and sometimes cadmium will show up as one of the heavy metals that are showing up as high in a person. And often patients will ask me, how am I contaminated? How do I have high amounts of cadmium in my system? So these are some of the ways that we could be getting contaminated with cadmium. Now, one is through mining, and cadmium is one of the byproducts of mining. So if you are involved in mining, or if you live near somewhere that does mining, then you may be exposed to higher amounts of cadmium. Another way that we could be exposed to cadmium is through phosphate fertilizers. So exposed to those fertilizers, first of all, if we're in farming, if we live near farms where they use these phosphate fertilizers, but then we can also be getting them through the foods that we're eating that have been contaminated with some of that phosphate fertilizers that contain some of that cadmium, and sometimes we can start accumulating some of that cadmium in our systems. Another exposure can be through exposure to batteries. We can also have exposure when we have contaminated foods or beverages that may contain high amounts of cadmium in them. The 5th way that we can be exposed to cadmium is from tobacco smoke. I think that this is probably the most common reason that cadmium is high in the body, is because of the tobacco smoke and the high amounts of cadmium from anyone who smokes or who is exposed to secondhand smoke. Then they can have high amounts of cadmium. And the 6th one, which sometimes we miss, but some of the artist paint actually contain cadmium in them, and sometimes for the artists, they can be exposed to high amounts of cadmium. So these are just some different ways that we may be exposed to cadmium. And then if you know what your exposures are, what you want to do is you want to try to decrease the exposures to these heavy metals. And if there are things that happened in your past, then you know where that buildup came from. Because with heavy metals, what happens is that heavy metals accumulate over a lifetime. All right, so thank you so much for watching. I encourage you to share this with your friends and family, to press the like button, to press the subscribe button, to make a comment below. And until next time, continue to learn, grow, and build health. And I'll see you in the next video.